Hello, everybody, and welcome to Salute to the Sickos. My name is Marcus, and with me today is Todd. Todd, how are you today?
Pretty good. Is it Wednesday yet?
It's not Wednesday yet. I'm anticipating we got some good matches coming up uh on Dynamite from what I've seen, and some pretty interesting news um coming out. I don't know if it's true or not, but Fightful said that Keith Lee is thinking about coming back to AEW. I haven't heard specifically if that's true or not, but
Well, I heard that there were plans to bring him in earlier this year, but then the plans fell apart.
Mhm.
So, but that implies, no matter how you read it, that Keith Lee is healthy and that he's
Yeah.
ready to come back, and that's what we want.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited to see him come back when he does. People have been clamoring it for a while, so I'm excited about that. But let's get to talking about you and about your fandom. How did you get? How did you get started watching wrestling?
Well, wrestling as a whole, it's tricky because apparently when I was younger, I was like before I could hold certain memories, I was a fan of old school WWF to the point where my parents bought me a Hulk Hogan suitcase.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like that was, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And like, "That's your favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't understand it at the time. Later on, once I started trying things out, like 10 years old or so, I got into WWE. This was right after the Attitude Era, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I had to hide it from my parents because they apparently didn't want me watching wrestling. Now I was like, "Make up your minds." Over time, I got introduced to the other companies through random events, including, I kid you not, a Christmas get together with my family introducing me to TNA. And
Hmm.
that's when I learned about AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and a lot of other great wrestlers. Then eventually I found out about Lucha Underground, which was
Hmm.
amazing, and now getting back on YouTube. Then I did hear about New Japan, but I never got to watch it. And then eventually, NXT, I got to OG Black and Gold era,
Hmm.
one of the best wrestling eras ever.
Hmm.
That was my thing. And then you could see the decline of the Fed, and a friend of mine got me into Ring of Honor, which led to me being at the original All In Chicago, and
Hmm.
that led me to becoming a lifelong fan of AEW long before it was ever a thing. And ever since 2019, it's been AEW ride or die.
Yeah. That's I kind of got. I'm kind of a same story, not really Ring of Honor, but I kind of petered out with WWE after a while. I think it was after the whole putting dog food on Roman Reigns and
Uh,
stuff like that kind of turned me off on it.
yeah, that was pretty
And
bad.
and then AEW started up, and I noticed Jericho was on there, and Jericho was the one who kind of made me come over. But let's talk real quick about your Mount Rushmore. How do you A lot of people have them. Some people don't because it's complicated. I have mine, but tell me how would your Mount Rushmore work,
What?
and who are your four wrestlers?
Well, like you said, it's complicated because it depends on how you want to define the Mount Rushmore in general. Are we talking about the best wrestlers, like best in the ring? Are we talking about best on the mic alongside the ring skills? Are we talking about their impact across the
Hmm.
wrestling world?
Yeah.
Um, it's really complicated. I typically don't think about my Mount Rushmore because there are so many ways you can look at it, and of course there's personal biases. So,
Hmm.
uh, like for example, if I was to put someone on there immediately, I probably put Brian Danielson
Yeah.
because of his amazing work. But then there are others be like, well, Brian was good, but he was no Bret Hart, or he wasn't, you know, as influential as say like Dusty
Yeah.
uh, if you want to, if I was to put my real bias into it, I'd put Osprey on there immediately because his career ain't even over. So
Yeah.
there's so many ways you can look at the Mount Rushmore situation. So I just try to back away. In fact, on a recent BTE live event, the Young Bucks were asked about their tag team Mount Rushmore, and they got to the end and they go, "Wait a minute, we forgot about this team. We forgot about this team." So it's even the Young Bucks struggle with stuff like this. So
Yeah. I can understand that. I have mine. Mine's kind of in. Mine's got not really personal favorites, but it's each. Mine's categorized in who's the best and what they helped with wrestling and brought to wrestling. But uh, so do you have a favorite match of all time?
Okay, that's fun to talk about because there are ones that you just go like, "Oh, that's the best thing I've ever seen," or "That's the best thing I ever experienced." And for me, hands down, best match I have ever experienced in any format was Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay at AEW Dynasty. I was in the crowd in
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis for that show. And I didn't even know that they were. I got the ticket before they ever announced that match. And the moment they really started going at it, you could feel it, Marcus. You could feel it in the crowd. Like we all knew we were watching something special. And when we got by the time we got to the "we're not worthy" chant, you knew that this was legendary in all the ways that mattered. So, and we'll never get it again. So, more than likely, unless something
Yeah.
happens with Danielson, we'll never get it again. So,
Mm-hmm.
I was honored to be there. It was absolutely spectacular to experience. And whenever AEW puts that one up on YouTube, I'm gonna watch it again because it was so special. And then because I didn't see it live, or because I saw it live, I didn't hear the commentary. So I would watch the clips of the match online, and Nigel McGuinness absolutely crushed it. The ending sequence with the "one moment" line, because it was like it
Mm-hmm.
was that line between the psycho knee and the hidden blade, and it was just so good. So that's best wrestling match I've ever seen.
Okay. So you've already kind of introduced how you got into AEW, but you have a special connection with some of the wrestlers you've actually talked to. At one time, there's a comic book that you've worked on. Can you explain your situation with that?
Yeah, so anyone who's followed me online on Blue Sky or Twitter knows that I have been working the last 7 years to try and get hired by AEW to make comics for them. I have proof that I made the original AEW Origins comic long before they ever did the thing with DC, and I know that's been seen by like the Young Bucks. Like I made two versions of the comic. One one when AEW was just launching in 2019 that I know the Young Bucks saw, and Cody and Mikey Ruckus and certain others. And
Mm-hmm.
then I made the AEW Origins comic, which I gave to several people, including Leva Bates when she was still in the company, and certain other wrestlers that I've met. Willow Nightingale, I gave one to her a little while ago. She's so great. And I also got to work on an autobiographical comic with Thunder Rosa, and that was really fun. I literally got to work with her, tell her life story in comic form. I still sell it to this day at the Comic Cons that I do. And now, if you saw a recent AEW Collision in Peoria, Illinois, you might have seen a sign that said "Hire me, Tony Khan." That was me. And
Okay.
yeah, I brought a new comic idea called Ring of Honor Legends, which I would want to make to help celebrate Ring of Honor and the history and the passion that it brought to wrestling in a time period when it wasn't about the wrestling, more or less. So I'm still trying, I'm still hoping, and I'm still doing everything I can to try and reach out to Tony Khan to just ask him to give me a chance. Let me pitch it to
Mm-hmm.
you, Tony, and I'll prove my worth.
Okay. That's yeah. I'm always a big fan of comics. I think comics bridge a gap between different types of fandoms, and it always helps. There's a lot of stuff. I like I like the fandom and stuff. I really wanted to do like I have talked to a lot of people about how I would love instead of the Fight Forever video game, I want to see a Street Fighter type video game where it's
Yeah,
not necessarily in the ring, where it's backstage areas and kind of cool, something different that
yeah.
we haven't seen.
Very stylized, and I would love to pitch something like that to Tony Khan as well. I have my college degree is in video game development, and
Mm-hmm.
the one idea that I came up with was uh, an old school 2D side scroller beat 'em up called Streets of Death Riders,
Yeah.
where you'd get to control the various members of the Death Riders and have them go up against, say, like the Don Callis family, and
Yeah.
you have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
I also think it'd be funny to do a Mario Party style game with the conglomeration,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I would pitch it to TK. I'm like, don't do the big titles unless you really put the work into it, because the Fed is cranking those out every year. You're never going to catch up to that.
Yeah,
Instead, make the smaller, more passionate, more intimate titles, and that's what will be a fun legacy. Because like, oh yeah, they're doing that thing. They're just repeating themselves. We're making clever stuff with our roster.
yeah. That's exactly where I think they need to go with everything. They need to think outside the box. I didn't get the
Exactly.
fight for everything. I'm not much of a gamer, but if if there's a Street Fighter version of wrestlers, I think that'd be fun and some other things. But you
and,
know,
and
it,
having like a Street Fighter thing would allow some creativity from the roster, because when you're doing like a Fight Forever game or the WWE 2K series, like their whole point is that you have to mimic what they do in the ring, which is fine because that's what you want. It's a simulator game. But by going with like a Street Fighter style, or say like Marvel versus Capcom style,
mhm,
you're saying like, hey, what would you want your moves to be? What ones do you that you can't do in the ring, but you could totally do in the video game space? Just let them have fun, and that way they're adding their own personality into the mix for this very stylized thing that'd be unlike anything else on the market, which is what
yeah,
AEW is. Something that's not really on the market, so they just did
yeah.
it themselves.
I 100% agree about that. So you've been around long enough to watch AEW. Can
Yes.
you kind of tell me what's something that you think besides the comic books and stuff we just talked about? What's your chief complaint that you think needs fixed with AEW?
Ooh, going to the hot take territory. Um, how have they not just put every belt onto Will Ospreay, even the women's titles? How have they not? I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. My biggest complaint is a very familiar one, and that's that I do wish the women got more matches weekly. And I
Okay.
know that we just came off a great collision with the women starting and ending the night. That was amazing. Props to all the ladies, especially Persephone and Hazuki, for doing that great main event and for the women's Owen. But we need more of that. We need more
Hmm.
of that consistently. And on the pay per views, there have been ones where they've had, like, say, 3 women's matches, but in other ones, they've had, like, 1 women's match. We
Yeah.
need to do better then. And yes, the pre show matches do count to an extent when they matter. Like, I recall a certain tag title match between Divine Dominion and then Hyann and Maya World that was really, really good. So the ladies come to play. I don't know. I've heard all the arguments like, oh, this is TK's fault, this is WBD's fault. I don't care whose fault it is. The
Hmm.
women, AEW has, in my opinion, the best women's division outside of Stardom. No one touches Stardom. Facts.
Yeah.
So use them wisely, use them efficiently. I like what they're doing with the TBS title, Survival of the Fittest qualifiers, and the big match that they'll do after Forbidden Door. I'm fine with that. I would have loved it
Hmm.
at Forbidden Door, but I understand why they're saving it for Dynamite. I love the Owen. If it goes where I think it's going, we're going to have a great finals at Forbidden Door, so I look forward to that. They did women's Blood and Guts last year. That was great. I know a
Hmm.
lot of people, including myself, are up for the women's C2 eventually. I'm not sure how that would work because of like timing, and having 2 tournaments
Yeah.
going at once would be a problem. And obviously, you don't want that to interfere with the Owen, so they'll have to work out the timing element. But the women come to play. And we've seen that recently with the tag title match I just mentioned, the women's match between Persephone and Suzuki, the lights out match between Sheeta and Statlander. Look at Alex Windsor versus Mercedes Monet at Double or Nothing. That was a great match. There, Jamie Hayter versus Tekla at Dynasty, I believe it was. Like, that was a great match. Screw you, Dave Meltzer. Why do you rate the women so poorly, Meltzer?
Yeah.
But they deserve more. But by all leaps and bounds, no one who's been here since day one will deny that the women's division now is leagues above where it was before in terms of match times, match quality, and roster quality, like just specifically the women's roster. But that doesn't mean we need to stop
Yeah.
to do even more, because there's one thing that still hasn't happened in AEW despite it being 7 years past now officially, and all the great matches that they've done. We still haven't had a women's main event at a pay-per-view. And we've had opportunities, but we have not. We've had a co-main event, but not a pure main event straight up for the women. And I hope that this year or next year we get that because they absolutely deserve it.
I, okay, I thought we had. I
No,
thought the Hollywood. I thought the Hollywood ending was a.
no, they had like 3 matches after that.
Oh, okay.
It was
See,
many wanted it to be the main event, but because of what was going on with Mariah May, it was never going to happen.
oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I have a little bit of hot take on the women's. I think a lot of people crow about wanting it, but in the end, it takes showing Tony Khan that women's matches can get ratings, and that's what they want to see. And a lot of people just say they want it, but they won't watch a women's match the whole way through.
Well, there's been multiple ratings graphics that show that viewing does go up when the women's matches are on, and then
Mm-hmm.
but then the people counted it be like, oh yeah, but there are also the people in the stadium who will do the bathroom break during the women's matches. I'm like, well, that just means they're dicks. That's on them. I never leave my seat. I can guarantee you that whether I'm at a Dynamite Collision or a pay per view, when I'm there, I never leave my seat. I am there for the whole show, full stop. Because that's what
Yeah,
a fan does.
yeah. I was there at All In, and I had to I had to get up several times because they didn't say how long it was going to be, and there were several matches where I went and walked around when I should have been watching. It was uh, the Kenny Omega match and Okada. I walked around in because my legs were hurting, and Swerve, Osprey, and Young Bucks.
Oh, dude, you missed out.
Well, but if they would have structured it better, I think I would have stayed for it. But that's one of my gripes is how long. That was a 7 hour pay per view. Now they're not as long, but no one knew going in that I'd spend almost half the day there.
It's worth it
So
though. Great. Allen, Texas is amazing.
yes,
I,
it was.
I wasn't
It
there
was.
live, but I was in my seat. I will tell you, I did get up from my computer seat as I
Mm-hmm.
watched because it was 6 hours. Even I had to get up to either reload my food or go to the bathroom. So I will
Yeah,
acknowledge that.
it was nonstop stuff, and I enjoy it. And I know a lot of people say that you get more bang for your buck, and I get that, but I wish there was a happy medium with Tony where you weren't, they don't last till midnight on East Coast, but you get what you pay for, I guess.
Yeah, and you get quite a bit.
Yeah, you get quite a bit. You do. So, I have a little game I like to play with people. It's called thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm going to ask you how you feel about this or this certain things, and you say thumbs up or thumbs down. If you don't want to give a dialogue about it, that's fine. Just thumbs up and thumbs down, okay?
Fair enough.
Men's division.
Thumbs up. One of the best, especially now. They are so stacked from top to bottom that you can look at a card and go, I'm not sure that's going to deliver. Then they deliver and they go, okay, I'm sorry for doubting you.
Okay. Factions.
Thumbs up. I do agree that there might be too many, but that's also a beauty of the product currently because there's a lot of flexibility with what you can do, as
Mm-hmm.
shown by Osprey versus Mark Davis recently, where their factions came to play and it got a 5.75 stars from Meltzer. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that happened.
Yeah, I think it can work out. I don't know. I think Don Callis' family feels a little too big for my liking, but uh,
It's like 20 members. I'm like, that's a lot to keep track of.
yes, it is. How do you feel about the main event scene?
Oh, thumbs up. Like 2026, they've killed it. And anybody who doubted Darby Allin's title run should beg for forgiveness from God. And I don't mean the one upstairs, I mean Sting.
Yeah, I was off and on about it. I think it's great for what it was. Uh, at first, I kind of soured on it because it was every single week, but I get the point of it. I do.
Yeah, and every single week we basically had a 5-star match, which
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and you're not gonna get that from Roman Reigns.
No, you're not. You're not at all. Uh, how do you feel about match quality?
Oh, thumbs up. Obviously there are always gonna be times and periods in wrestling where it doesn't click. But especially last year and this year, it's been nonstop. Almost nonstop. Almost nonstop thumbs up. Like these matches are amazing. Like, just look at last week with the great matches we had there. Just look at tomorrow at the time of recording with all the big matches we're gonna get, and you're like, we're getting all this on free TV. So yeah, and then the
Yeah.
pay-per-views, untouchable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Last one. How do you feel about Tony Khan's job right now?
Like, as a booker, or
Well, as a booker, as just overall, I think he's gotten a lot better since first started. How do you grade
oh
2026, 2025
if
Tony
just
Khan?
yeah, 2025, 2026, Tony Khan, two thumbs way up. Look, I know a lot of Tony Khan gets a lot of flack because sometimes he does things that go against the grain, like with the Darby Allin title reign, which definitely got a lot of "wait, you did what?" moment reactions online. But
Mm-hmm.
Tony Khan cares. Period. He
Yeah.
cares about wrestling. He cares about his wrestlers. He cares about the brand and the company and how it looks and is perceived. And he knows that the best way to handle things is to just make a good product every week and to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that every pay-per-view matters. Now, have there been up and down periods? Yes. Has he let his fanboyness, quote unquote, get in the way at times? Yes. You can look at very specific moments in the first couple of years to point to that. But like with any competent businessman and fan, he's grown.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen himself and said, "Okay, we could have done this better. We got to do this better. This was a
Mm-hmm.
mistake. Do this better. Hey, we need to redo." Here, I'll give you a great example. 2025 Revolution. The main event was Moxley versus Copeland.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. I do not agree that it was a bad match. I think it was fine, but it was not to the quality of the three matches that came before. So Tony
Yeah.
Khan looked at that and went, "Okay, I made a mistake. How do I reverse this?" And he goes, "Let's make it a no disqualification rematch." And then we had not only a great match, but one of the most unbelievable moments ever where Spike got plunged into Jon Moxley's back and like
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to pull it off. It was like, oh my gosh. So he learned, and that match was infinitely better than the Revolution match. And
Mm-hmm.
you look at other things where he has gone to the wrestlers and trust their judgment, or other times he's said, I got to make the ruling myself here. Like, look at Hangman versus Ospreay from the Owen last year, where no one knew really who was going to win. And
Mm-hmm.
they were fine, apparently, giving the other the win, which doesn't that say a lot about the culture that
Yeah.
Tony Khan has cultivated, saying like, "Hey, we are a family. We're all in this together. We are here to build up AEW." And so Hangman and Ospreay were looking at each other and going, "Hey, you can win it. No, you can win it. This is your story. It's your time." Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Is everything he does flawless? Of course not.
Yeah.
I could look at recent things and go, "Hey, this could have been different." I'll give you a great. I know I already said that, but I'll give you a great example. Look at the men's Owen. Okay, when the
Mm-hmm.
brackets were announced, everyone looked at that bracket and looked at one match and said that shouldn't be there, and that was Jungle Jack Perry versus Mark Davis. We knew why it was there because they were finishing off their trilogy of fun matches, but we're like, really? You're doing this in the Owen? But the reason he did that was so that we could get Mark Davis versus Ospreay, which is a match of the year contender, and we would not have gotten that if Tony Khan hadn't done it. So
Yeah.
we almost missed it. I almost blasted Mark Davis, who's done nothing but great work recently. And I didn't have faith in that moment in Tony Khan. And now I have to look back and go, my bad, Tony. I should have let you cook. I'm sorry. So, and there are pay-per-views where I'm like, okay, you could have done that differently. I was one of the people who wanted Darby to beat MJF at Double or Nothing because I
So
wanted
did
this
I.
just for like another week or two, just to continue
Mm-hmm.
the story. But I'm happy with what they've done afterward. And yes, MJF's injured, but that was a freak accident thing. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what things are gonna look like going in All In London. But I have faith in Tony Khan because, especially this year and last year, he's given me no reason to doubt him. Where with the Fed, it's like every week you're wondering, why are they doing this? What's going on here? Why is this person being used this way, or so on and so forth? Sure, the AEW fan base and the IWC sometimes have short attention spans, or they're very much impulse reactors, but when you just let things breathe and let Tony Khan cook, 9 times out of 10, he will not let you down. And that absolutely
Mm-hmm.
deserves 2 thumbs way up.
Yes, I 100% agree. He's done a lot. There's things I question on him, but
Huh.
he's kept us going and in the right direction. So last but not least, I'm going to let you promote yourself, your books, and then also if you want to give a message to AEW fans, and then we'll end the show.
Sure. So you can find me on Blue Sky. Just look for Todd Black. On Twitter, I'm at Guardians_comic. I'm a comic creator, as I noted. I have, if you want the Thunder Rosa book, you can message me on Blue Sky or Twitter, and we could set something up. I sell it as a volume edition. So, and then if you want the original copy, digital copy, sorry, of AEW Origins, the real one, wink. I'll give that to you for free, including you, Marcus.
Hmm.
And just message me online. I'll get it to you.
Okay.
That goes to you, everyone listening as well. But yeah, you can find me there. And my message to the AEW fan base: let's enjoy what we have,
Hmm.
please. Without diving too deep into what's been going on in my life, 2026 has been very hard for me. One of my shining lights has been AEW.
Hmm.
Because no matter what I am going through, and I've gone through a lot, and I know I'm going to be going through a lot more because we're only in June. I can look to Wednesday, and I'll hear Excalibur say, "You know what that means?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to get good wrestling this week," and then we do. And then Saturday, Collision. Sometimes when you don't expect it, they deliver like an all-time great show with top to bottom great matches. And then went to pay-per-view. Like I'm looking forward to Forbidden Door. Can't wait for that to happen. I make sure I have a special meal. I watch the pay-per-view, and then at the end of every single one, it's just like, man, that flew by because it didn't feel like 4 or 5 hours of great wrestling, but it was, and it's amazing to behold. Will their run of amazing wrestling, amazing pay-per-views end? Eventually.
Hmm.
It's just the nature of things. Something will happen and the streak will be broken. But I can also say, going back to a previous topic, I trust Tony Khan to rebound because
Hmm.
AEW's greatest gift is adaptation. They've had to adapt so much in their 7 years, and they're so used to it now. They're like, we might even have one. I don't know if you heard this news, but Sari might not be available tomorrow to fight
Oh.
Sky Blue. I know it's not been confirmed, but it's a possibility.
Hmm.
So I know that Tony Khan will adapt to whoever he has available to go face Sky Blue, so that the women's own will continue on in good quality. I have faith in AEW, and I am honored to be part of this fan base. I am proud to be a sicko. Give me all the great wrestling. It makes me happy, and then I get to talk with people about it, especially on Blue Sky. Shout out to the AEW fam there.
Hmm.
Um, and I look forward to any time I can see a show live, whether it's Dynamite, Collision, or pay per view, and the joy that we have when we're there, when we're looking at the matches, we're enjoying and shouting, "This is awesome!" and "Fight forever!" and "We're not
Hmm.
worthy." It means something. We did
Yeah.
not have this 7-ish years ago, and we were drowning in a pool of crap wrestling product. It
Yeah.
wasn't even a wrestling product; it was a sports entertainment product. Now we
Hmm.
have AEW. Now we have the alternative. Now we have options beyond what we were told that this is what wrestling is. No, AEW is what wrestling is, especially in North America. So to my fellow AEW fans, let's enjoy this with all we've got. If you have complaints, that's okay. Say them respectfully, but say them. Say, hey, I hope this person gets a title soon. I hope this feud happens. I hope this happens at Wembley. Or, man, I wish that this was going to happen now instead of later, and so on and so forth. That's okay to voice it, but don't lose the fact that we still got the best wrestling product out there right now because of Tony Khan, because of the stacked AEW roster giving us something great every single week.
Hmm.
The streak will end, but I don't
Yes.
think it'll be happening soon. So let's
Well,
just enjoy the wrestling.
I, I I fully believe that I'm on a on a roller coaster ride, and I'm just enjoying it. I really am.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna let you go. I will hopefully talk to you soon, and thank you for coming on the show.
been a pleasure, Marcus. Enjoy wrestling, everybody. Fix your hearts or die, because this is All Elite Wrestling.